Hey everybody, today we're going to make some homemade pizza. I got this recipe for the crust out of the Tightwad Gazette books. I think I've mentioned them before. They are an incredible resource for learning how to be frugal and live on less, although her actual numbers and data are a bit dated because she wrote these almost 20 years ago now. Her formulas and how to figure things out are still great, and there's a lot of good recipes and stuff in there. So anyways, you start with 2 cups of flour. I'm gonna do a recipe and a half, so I've put a little more in here, but the original recipe is 2 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and then you put a tablespoon of oil. You can use olive oil. I have vegetable oil on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. I bought this little food processor at a thrift sale, mostly just for this purpose, because this is just a very easy way to make a quick yeast dough. Of course, the lid won't go on when you want to. And then you just whiz that around just a couple of times. This food processor probably isn't the best working thing in the world, but it serves my purpose, so I'm happy with it. The next thing you want to do, I've mixed, it calls for a packet of dry yeast and a teaspoon of sugar, and I've done that in this bowl already. I use yeast that comes in a jar, and then it gives the equivalent measurements for a packet on there, which is like 2 teaspoons and a quarter, and you mix that with a little warm water. My test, the water is supposed to be 105 to 115 degrees, and I used to always measure the temperature of my water because that's very important when you're trying to work with yeast. And my own little way that I figured out how to measure it now is that if I can stick my finger in the water and leave it there for 2 or 3 seconds, then the water's the right temperature. If I can leave it there longer, it's too cold, and if I can't hold it there for just a couple seconds, then it's too hot. But that's just my own way to measure the temperature of water, so you can always figure out what works best for you. So the next thing you want to do is add your yeast to your flour mixture. And if you'll notice, the yeast was kind of frothy and bubbly, and that means that your yeast is proofing and that it's still good and it's going to work and grow. So then you just mix that around for a couple turns. Then the next thing you do is pour your water in, and normally I would do this while it was running, but since I only have 2 hands, we'll do what we can. Looks like I'm going to need some more water. Okay, so you just want to put enough water in there that when you're whizzing it all around, that the dough just kind of forms into a ball, and then pour it out onto a floured surface, or however best you can get it out of there. Sometimes it has to be kind of sticky. I always knead it just a little bit, just enough to get it to all form into a ball. My flour was cold. I'd just taken it out of the freezer, so I hope that didn't kill my yeast. We will soon find out about that, I guess. This should be enough to make 2 big pans of pizza. The regular recipe is enough to make a thin dough. I usually either will make a recipe and a half or double it to make a thicker crust. And then what you need to do is just take some kind of a big bowl or something and put over the top of it and just kind of incubate it for about 20 minutes or so and let that rise under there. Okay, so while the dough is incubating and rising, I usually go ahead and make my sauce. I'm going to make TacoPizza today, which I meant to only do it and use refried beans for my sauce on the crust, but I mistakenly forgot and opened a can of tomato paste anyway, so I'll just go ahead and do this too. So I make my sauce with a can of tomato paste and a can of warm water out of the same can of paste. I used to work at a franchised pizza joint, and basically all they did, the way they make their pizza sauce, is just tomato paste and water, and that's it. I do a little more with mine. I just put in a little bit, like a dash or two of cumin, some of my own oregano, probably, I don't know, half teaspoon or so. I never really measure this stuff. Usually I just measure it out in my hand and go with that. You can season it however you want to. This is Italian seasoning. A couple teaspoons of that. A couple shakes of cilantro leaves, and I have one of my little angels that swears he doesn't like onions, so I use a lot of onion powder in things, and then nobody ever knows the difference. And also put a little salt in it. Need to be careful with that, not to get too much. And then usually I will put, I don't know, about a teaspoon or two or whatever of sugar in it, just to give it a little sweetness. Like I said, I really don't measure. Not good about measuring stuff all the time. And then you just mix all that up, and it'll make a pretty good paste. If you don't want it this thin, don't put as much water in it. If you want it thinner, put a little more. You know, just kind of do it however you like it. That's the beauty of making things yourself. So then the next thing, I need to rehydrate my beans, and I've boiled some water, and you just need to use about equal amounts of water as to the beans, and I may have just put it in a little too much, but if that's the case, then we'll just add some more beans to it or something. And it looks like I may have, I don't know. I'll just kind of wait and see. I'm gonna, my lens is all fogged up. Didn't plan for that. I'm gonna stick a plate over the top of it. That's not big enough to give it a lid. There we go. And we'll just let that do its thing, and I will come back to you in a minute when the dough's ready. Okay, so my yeast didn't rise very well because of my cauliflower, and I took a bottle, took some boiling water and put it in a jar and put it up there and put it underneath my bowl to create some heat, and that seemed to work. Never really tried that before, but it seemed to do the trick. So the next thing I'm going to do is just divide my dough in half. Place half of it to the side and roll the other half out. You can make it however you want to make it. You can make it round, you can make a rectangle, you can do whatever you want to do with it. Get all that done. Okay, I need to really invest in a tripod, but anyway, so I rolled my dough out and I've got it on 2 pans. If I was making just a regular pizza, I would go ahead and spread the tomato sauce on it, and then I would sprinkle cheese on it, and then I would put whatever toppings I wanted on it. And you can put absolutely whatever you want to do, and however much cheese or whatever, and then you just bake it at 425 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. But what I'm going to do, since I'm making taco pizza, is I'm going to put my refried bean mixture down on there first. Probably next time I make this, I won't put the tomato sauce on it, but this time I'm going to go ahead just because I've already got it made up, and if I put it in the freezer, I'll forget about it. So I'm just going to do this. Put this on here real quick. Last time I made this, I mixed my refried beans with a little meat. This time I'm just strictly cooking it this way. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of tomato sauce here and there. Just for, not all of my cowpokes like tomatoes, so this again is another way to get that in there and not really have it, kind of sneak it in there. Just kind of spread that all around, and I guess it can also make it kind of seem like the taco sauce or whatever. do that. I might do one this way and then do the other one. I'll just do the refried beans only and just kind of see what happens for the both of them. When I made this the first time, I really didn't know if the cowpokes would like it or not, and it turns out they loved it, so here we are again doing it again. It's a great way to save some money and use your beans. I made the dehydrated refried beans myself. You can go over to Bear Prepper's channel and she shows you how to do that. Looks like I should have probably made just a little bit more of this mixture than what I did, but I'm just going to make do with it and spread it out. I think I'll go ahead and put some mozzarella cheese on top of this and bake it, and then after it gets done baking, we'll come back and we'll finish it out. So I'll come back. Okay, so the pizzas came out of the oven and I let them set for about 5 minutes or so, just to kind of cool off a little bit. This is the one with the refried beans and tomato sauce, and this is the one just refried beans and cheese, and I'm thinking I'm gonna like it a little better, so we'll just have to see. So next thing we're gonna do is you just put the toppings on it, whatever you like. I'm gonna put lettuce on here. You can absolutely put whatever you like. I have picky eaters, so we're probably just gonna go something simple. One tip with lettuce, which a lot of you probably know this, but maybe you don't. If you never really want to use a metal knife to cut it with. A metal knife will make it brown a whole lot faster than just pinching it off or tearing it off or getting one of those little lettuce knives like this. It's just a little plastic knife to use. Alright, so the lettuce is all on. And then I'm just going to put some cheddar cheese, shredded cheddar cheese on top. One of the best things you can use to prep with is your brain, and save money as well. When I went to the store to buy cheese, I had to go to my local store because I forgot to get the cheddar cheese. And the block of cheese was 50 cents cheaper than to buy it all shredded up, and they were both 8 ounces a piece. So you just need to always watch and just use your brain and see, you know, bulk things, sometimes they are cheaper, sometimes they're not, and you just need to check things out. I usually always have a calculator on me somewhere when I go to the store, so I can keep track of stuff or figure stuff out. People probably look at me like the nerd that's in the aisle shopping, but you know, whatever works for you. And then the last thing I'm going to do with it is just punch up some taco chips, like Dorito style chips. Sorry, my lighting isn't very good this time of day in here. And put the chips on top. And there you go, it's done. There you have it. There's our taco pizza. So, prepare for the worst and pray for the best. See y'all next time.